and thank you for joining us as we take you around San Diego. I'm CBS 8's Jenny Day. I'll get you caught up on a week's worth of news and look ahead in just 30 minutes. We do begin, though, with crime. A 15-year-old boy arrested for a shooting at a Chula Vista restaurant is facing multiple charges, including attempted murder. He appeared in court for the first time on Wednesday. Now, the shooting happened on October 28th, right there inside the Novo Brazil Brewery and Restaurant located in the Otay Ranch Town Center. This is surveillance video from that night showing people running through the restaurant as customers duck for cover. Chula Vista police say the shooting started as a dispute between two groups of people. They believe the 15-year-old arrested was the only one who fired shots.
So the current charges that the teen is being faced with are 8 charges. Count 1 is an attempt murder with 2 allegations, and that is specifically under the Penal Code of 12022.53D, which essentially is a personal use of a firearm as well as the causing of great bodily injury on the victim.
So the next hearing is scheduled for November 28th. Until then, the teen will remain in custody. And the Board of Supervisors deadlocked this week on a proposal to shut down and potentially sue crisis pregnancy centers. Vice Chair Tara Lawson-Remer says the centers aren't licensed and give inaccurate medical information to convince women not to have abortions. Supervisor Jim Desmond says many of these clinics do good work, but added that any found who are violating the law should be held accountable. Supervisors could take up the proposal again in December. And the San Diego County Board of Supervisors unanimously voted to develop a pilot program that would expand access to supportive housing and addiction recovery services for unsheltered San Diegans. The goal is to help those who are actively working to overcome addiction. As an initial step, the program aims to provide housing for 100 homeless people in North County. If successful, the program may expand throughout all of the county. Well, watching this story could save you a headache and some money. Working for you, we've found the top San Diego parking areas where you're most likely to get a ticket. CBS 8's Ariana Cohen hit the road to find where and why.
This parking area around the Dianza boat launch ramp is the #1 spot for the highest amount of parking tickets. The city of San Diego reported more than 2,120 tickets given out this year, mainly due to the violation of parking signs.
Wow. I believe it 100 plus. Yeah, this is a little moneymaker for the city. And there's no reason for those tickets to happen. None of these cars are taking spaces away from vehicles with trailers.
Well, I didn't notice any of the signs that you can't park here unless you have a trailer. So now I'm watching my car so I don't get a ticket.
Coming in the second and third spots with the most parking tickets are the Ski Beach lot on Ingram Street and 7600 Siempre Viva Road in Otay Mesa. From January 1st through October 31st, the city collected more than $25 million in parking citations. And it doesn't end there. Here in East Village on 13th Street, stretching 5 blocks from 500 to 1,000, the city issued more than 4,100 parking tickets this year.
At least 10 in the last, since the beginning of the year, I would say. At least 10.
Charles Smith works on 13th Street.
It's a struggle because we work here and we're here for more than 4 hours a day. This is 4-hour parking in front of this building, so it's difficult.
So what are the top reasons for tickets? More than 88,000 tickets were issued for parking during street sweeping hours. A little over 69,000 tickets for violating signs, more than 62,000 tickets for expired meters, and more than 35,000 tickets for parking in a red zone. You're most likely to get a ticket on a Tuesday or Thursday, according to the city's data. Luckily, there may be some relief for people parking on 13th Street in East Village in the near future.
They are building East Village Greens right across the street here, so that's going to help alleviate the parking situation, although I don't believe construction is going to be completed until 2025. So up until then, we're kind of just limited to the small amounts of parking.
Working for you, Ariana Cohen, CBS 8.
Really interesting. Be mindful. Thanks, Ariana. Well, there could be some big changes coming to your electric bill. This week, more than a dozen people spoke out at a California Public Utilities Commission hearing in Escondido on the proposal from SDG&E to charge customers a flat rate fee based on income, in addition to charging them for the amount of electricity they use. County Supervisor Jim Desmond is one of those against the proposal.
No one should pay anything different for a commodity that we all use. Nobody should be making payments on a commodity we all use based on their income.
You can get a closer look at the proposal, including the charges broken down by income bracket. The utility companies have a deadline of July next year to authorize a plan to move forward. And then once that's in place, customers would begin to see changes to their bill in late 2026. Well, a coalition of school board members from different districts are fighting for parents to have more input and control over their kids' education. The coalition says parents should know things like their child's preferred gender identity in school, what books they are reading, and topics in sex ed. CBS 8's Anna Laurel is at the Lakeside School District with their argument and the other side.
This new coalition has school board members from districts across San Diego County. They say they want parents to take back control that they feel like they're losing to state mandates, and they're willing to go to court to do that.
Frankly, the state's wrong, and we need to push back when there's wrong policy. And parents, I think, agree with that, and we need to ask those questions.
Lakeside Union School Board President Andrew Hayes and other districts' school board members are creating what they call a Parents' Bill of Rights. They say local school boards should make sure parents are notified about things like school curriculum, opting out of sex ed topics, sexual transitioning, and approval of medicines like sex hormone therapy.
Local school districts have the ability, with their rules, with their board policies, to establish appropriate parental notification. Sacramento has limited parents' access, and we're here to expand that access.
Do you feel like this list of things we want to make sure we're more involved with and control over, it all has to do with LGBTQ?
Yes. Yes.
A.T. Faruia with Transform Together educates and trains organizations like schools about LGBTQ plus issues.
Really alarming. What the things that are cited in this document there's a lot of misinformation in here about what advocacy and inclusion in school looks like for LGBTQ plus students.
One of the items says parental written approval for medications for sex hormone therapy. AT says minors need that approval already. This newly formed coalition of school board members does not represent their respective school districts. So I spoke with the Lakeside Union superintendent. She says some items on this Parents' Bill of Rights are already in place.
We want the parent and the community input and our decision-making process.
If there are parental notifications districts do not give, it's because of state laws.
We're not allowed to notify the parents if the child is expressing gender identity issues. We do not notify the parent because it's illegal to do so.
Hayes and the coalition say they're willing to fight that.
If the courts ultimately have to decide, so be it.
In Lakeside, this is Anna Laurel, CBS 8.
Anna, thank you. Well, smash and grab burglars targeted 3 shoe stores overnight, getting away with tens of thousands of dollars worth of merchandise. As CBS 8's David Godfredson reports, 2 of the stores were located in shopping malls, and the third, a mom and pop shop in Hillcrest.
As you can see, they put a little hole right here, hopped in. I guess they said it was 4 or 5 guys and just tossed the clothes outside, you know.
This was the scene overnight at Firekick's shoe store in Hillcrest. Burglars smashed through a front wall and made off with about $20,000 worth of merchandise, according to the owner, who asked not to be identified.
We're in Hillcrest. We thought it'd be safe. There's police 24 hours around here, you know. So it just makes us a little uneasy with this happening.
The owner thinks his burglar alarm scared the thieves away. He says they were in and out in less than 10 minutes, and they missed the really high-end tennis shoes in the store that sell for $1,500 a pair. Around 2 in the morning, burglars also hit the Kickstock shoe store in the Westfield Mission Valley Mall. They broke through a window to get inside. San Diego police said, quote, a significant amount of merchandise was stolen, but no dollar amount was given. Then around 4 a.m., police say the same group of about 4 burglars attempted to break into this City Kicks shoe store in the University Town Center Mall. But the attempted burglary there was unsuccessful and no windows were broken. It's the same shoe store that was burglarized back in November 22. The suspects got away in that incident as well, and police recovered merchandise in the parking lot. Meanwhile, back in Hillcrest, the owner of the Fire Kicks store says he plans on increasing security.
It's hard to really prevent it, but just gotta have some more safer measures in place. We're probably gonna get another gate out front, you know.
It looks like there is surveillance video of these thieves breaking into the stores. As soon as police release it, we'll put it on our website at cbs8.com. If you have any information, contact the San Diego Police Department. In Hillcrest, David Gottfredson, CBS 8.
David, thank you. Well, a man who runs a taco stand outside of Machete Beer House was forced to shut down because it's not up to city code.
When I had talked to the mayor, he pretty much said that someone had complained and then about the smell and stuff like that.
A city councilman tells us vendors have to cook in a kitchen, then bring it outside. That's why the owner of Tacos El Via Sana is now saving money for a food truck.
I'm from National City. I grew up here, so I would like to stay here and I would like to open up my location here. So that's the goal.
Like to keep them. Vendors will continue to voice their concerns at city council meetings during this upcoming week. Well, if you are a parent with a young child, you've likely heard of Roblox, one of the most popular and profitable online gaming platforms in the world. Well, nearly 40 million children under the age of 13 logged on to play between April and June. But as CBS 8's Kirsten Holmes found out, there may be more going on within the game than parents know.
Roblox's video game platform lets you create customizable avatars, play user-created games, and make friends online. Though wildly popular, Roblox has also been criticized for making it too easy for kids to buy Robux. That's the virtual currency used inside the game, and for exposing young users to graphic images, vulgar language, and other material that's just not suited for children. Now a group of parents is taking on the gaming giant in a class action lawsuit that was filed right here in San Diego.
Gotta be careful. Oh, that's why. Okay, let's steal this money.
She not only lost, some confidence and trust in the world through this, but she lost what she thought was a best friend.
Damian Ull says his daughter started playing Roblox when she was just 6 years old.
Just monitored, and it seemed like every kid was on it, so we thought it was a safe space for her to enjoy playing video games.
At age 10, Damian says his daughter had met a friend on Roblox.
She made a close friend online that we presumed was around her age and was led to believe that she was about that age.
They were wrong. It turned out that the online friend was actually an adult predator.
I went into some of it and just looked, and there was just some inappropriate conversations that happened, and it was just shocking for me.
I myself am a mother.
Alexandra Walsh, one of the attorneys representing Ull and the other plaintiffs, says Roblox's millions of users and their parents think it's safe.
Hang on. As it turns out, Roblox, it's the Wild West. It is unregulated, inappropriately monitored, and it needs to change.
According to the court filing, Roblox previously addressed safety concerns in its 2020 SEC filing, saying, while we devote considerable resources to prevent this from occurring, we are unable to prevent all such interactions from taking place. But inappropriate interactions aren't the only reason Damian and his fellow plaintiffs decided to file suit. The lawsuit states in part, parents do not realize that once in the game, players can buy in-app currency that can be used to purchase a vast range of items for their avatar from third-party apps. These vary widely in cost, from a sword that could only cost $1 to a hat that could cost $600. Both sides will have a chance to present their case in the federal court in coming months.
Let's find the money.
One thing about Roblox is it's really difficult to navigate and to access any information on there. What happens in these live chat rooms on these games, it disappears. When you log out of that, it's gone.
Roblox responded to CBS 8's request for comment by saying they dispute the allegations and said in part, Roblox's expert team of thousands of people dedicated to moderation and safety, they act swiftly to block inappropriate content. There are a number of features to keep kids safe, including filtering text chat to block inappropriate content, offering parental controls, and giving parents visibility into their children's activity, including preventing them from making unauthorized purchases. You can read their full statement on our website, cbs8.com. Kirsten Holmes, CBS 8.
Well, you know it by now. We are working for you, checking in on abandoned buildings all around the county. We're looking into a vacant building right off of Fletcher Parkway in La Mesa. It's causing a stir among many people. You've reached out to us asking what the plans are for this building. CBS 8's Ariana Cohen talked to viewers and dug for information to find out who owns that building and what's next.
What was supposed to be a 25,000 square foot brewery and event space is now what people living in La Mesa call an eyesore.
It's an eyesore and has been for almost 10 years, I think.
Ann Tower lives in La Mesa. She is one of many CBS 8 viewers who reached out to us asking what is going on with this vacant building off Fletcher Parkway.
If you lived here, would you want to see this property every day?
Back in 2018, the property owner, David Cohn, had plans to turn this venue into the Draft Brewing Company, an activity-rich beer garden with mini golf, a kids' play area, and more. Hi, this is Ariana Cohen calling with CBS 8. I reached out to Cohn, who is also with the Cohn Restaurant Collective. He says plans for this vacant building, which was to be a separate business venture, never came to fruition. Unfortunately, the plans for a restaurant at this site were put to an end by COVID and inflation. We sincerely share our neighbors' concerns and have been diligent in cleaning and maintaining the site on almost a daily basis to offset the illegal dumping and other activity at a cost of thousands of dollars per month. We are currently in talks with a number of buyers for the property and hope to make an exciting announcement as soon as a transaction is finalized.
It sits here as an eyesore. It's horrible.
Meanwhile, Ann and many other people living here are ready for something to be done about it already.
I would just like it to happen with it. You know, I just want it to be something that when we come into this particular mall, strip mall, that we have something other than this monstrosity to look at.
Working for you, Ariana Cohen, CBS 8.
Yeah, La Mesa's my hometown. Here at CBS 8, we want to help solve problems affecting you. If there's something you'd like us to look into, please email us at workingforyou@cbs8.com. Well, there may finally be some relief from bad odors along the coast in the South Bay. Scientists are now monitoring those gases, and that could be the key to more funding to resolve the issue. CBS 8's Steve Fiorina sat in on a citizens forum in Coronado, one of the areas most impacted.
The first sensor went online a month ago in San Ysidro. Already confirmation that odors are spiking and likely to get worse as winter approaches. Raw sewage flowing north through the Tijuana River Valley has been a curse on the South Bay for years. A massive problem that's seen little improvement. Now, a scientific approach from the Air Pollution Control District of San Diego County. Sensors to measure levels of hydrogen sulfide, or sewer gas. A public hearing at the Coronado Library to explain how cold, hard facts about health issues could help.
Unfortunately, just local voices hasn't been enough, and so we're hoping that bringing some of that data will help push it forward.
The sensors provide proof that the air is foul. Complaints about the smell validated.
What happens is that during our 21 or 30 days of rain that we get a year, that basically that water races to the ocean. So to spread the water over the valley, especially sewage tainted water, is a disaster, and that's what we smell at night.
His solution is to deepen the valley.
Restore the valley back to the way it was, so that the water, there's no standing water.
One woman asked if high tide versus low tide could have an impact as well.
The estuary, once there's no water in it, it's just solids. It's solids
that have dropped down, and I think that could be a very high correlation.
One theme seemed to run through the crowd. They want action now.
Is there any plan or any program that is compatible with this technology where you can run scenarios of calculated flows from the past with meteorological data to coincide and run a scenario to tell what we were exposed to yesterday? Because we're finding out today that we're sick and we might die tomorrow.
A total of 6 sensors are to be installed in the next several months, and more may follow. It would be ammunition in the battle to get federal and state money to fix the problem. Steve Fiorina, CBS 8.
It impacts a lot of people. Steve, thank you. Well, people are raising concerns about where train tracks in Del Mar will go if they are moved from the eroding bluffs. Sandag is considering about a dozen routes, and many involve building a tunnel and running the tracks under Del Mar.
We need the public because people have worked hard to be in this little teeny neighborhood. They don't want their homes demolished by eminent domain.
Yeah, public outreach will last through November. Then an engineering team will evaluate the various routes, and more public review will be happening in the spring. Construction, though, not expected to begin until 2028. Well, meantime, people living in Ocean Beach want to know when the pier will reopen. When we visited the pier earlier this week, we found someone attached a sign saying, "Open the pier." The city of San Diego says lifeguards closed the pier, of course, back on October 20th because of damage from high surf. It's still closed right now. The city unveiled new pier designs in September, and locals say that the upgrades are much needed.
You know, it's kind of iconic down here. It would be kind of nice to have something a little bit more permanent or something that's a little bit better for the community that could be open year round.
Yeah, the OB Pier was badly damaged last winter and was closed until the 4th of July weekend. We reached out to the city about the recent damage, but no timeline for when those repairs will begin. And people living in Mission Beach and in PB say that they want to walk their dogs on the boardwalk no matter what time it is. They are calling for changes, hoping to lift a ban that keeps them from walking their pets during certain hours. CBS 8's Rocio de la Fe talked with people trying to get the city to change the rules.
Many people I spoke to tell me they don't feel safe walking around at night with their dogs, which is why they want to see the city lift these restrictions. And a new online petition is asking the community to get involved.
It doesn't make sense to me at all.
Some San Diegans are calling on the city to do away with dog walking regulations along the coastline, including PB, Mission Beach, and Mission Bay boardwalks.
It's very peaceful out here, as you can see, but you shouldn't have to wait until after it's almost dark before you can walk your dog.
Current rules allow leash dogs only after 4 p.m. and before 9 a.m. daily between November 1st and March 31st. From April through October, the later leash dog walking time begins at 6 p.m. Exceptions are made for guide or service dogs. Dog owners I talked to tell me the restrictions force them to schedule their walks on quiet or less traversed spaces, including near busy and sometimes treacherous streets.
Down here at night, it's not always the safest.
I totally agree. And especially right now with the roads being torn up, the sidewalks are torn up too.
They're doing so much construction. They've got the roads ripped up.
Now, 2 locals are trying to get the city to act. Jeffrey Perchin and Nick Safranek are advocating for the city to approve a 24/7 dog-friendly policy.
There's no reason at all why people with dogs can walk their dogs. If people don't like dogs, they can walk around the dogs.
Safranek believes allowing dogs on the boardwalk can even boost the local economy.
These establishments would see higher customer traffic.
Both men are now hoping to gather community support. They created this online petition, which already has more than 1,000 signatures.
I think it'll be a long road, but I think this is something that we could definitely do.
I reached out to the city of San Diego, which says the current restrictions are in place to protect public health and ensure city shoreline areas are safe and accessible for all. The men who want to change the rules say they're ready to put in the work.
I'm not afraid. I'm going to do it.
Perchin and Safranek must now get the support of a local town council or community group before going to the city's Park and Recreation Department. To learn more or sign the petition, click on the online version of the story at cbs8.com. Rocio de la Fe, CBS 8.
Rocio, thank you. Well, sewage in the South Bay is impacting the way of life for many people, from the economy to their health. For those whose jobs take them into the ocean, it's also taking a severe toll. In this Earth 8 report, Netta Iranpour shows us what it's like to be a lifeguard during Imperial Beach's contamination crisis.
It is a sad sight across the beaches in Imperial Beach. Barely anyone enjoying the water, and the few who are taking a big risk. That's because these waters are full of bacteria. The type of bacteria you would find in human and animal waste. Anything that gets flushed or sent down the drains, channels, and streets of Mexico flows here. Take a look at this video from Imperial Beach lifeguards. These foam balls you see are filled with fecal matter.
This is probably the worst it's been, and I grew up here, so, you know, urbanization in Mexico, the more urbanization, the more runoff, infrastructure gets taxed.
That video was taken March of this year, and Captain Jason Lindquist wishes he could say it was a rare occurrence.
It's pretty bad. You get lifeguards with headaches. You can smell it. The whole city can smell it. Most lifeguards start out getting headaches on days like that, but if they go in, yeah, we have a couple people that have had rashes and different things.
There's obviously no gate blocking off the beach, but there are signs that say the water is contaminated with sewage. Not everybody sees that, so warning families, letting them know about the bacteria becomes a big part of their job daily.
Not all swimmers are aware or care about the extent of the pollution. And it's even in the air. Recent studies show what people are breathing along IB's coast can hurt them.
56,000 to be clean, it's 1,400.
Oh. Wow.
Where you'd normally see the surf report, Captain Lindquist shows me they also have a sign at the lifeguard station with updated bacteria counts.
But see, it was clean here, dirty, but these are really close.
More dirty days than not. The south side of IB has been dangerously contaminated for nearly 700 days, almost 2 years straight.
You're constantly going in and out of this, and nobody knows what this is. I tend to take care of myself pretty well. I think I'm fine, but we don't know about long-term effects. That's one thing that's becoming an issue with the staff and the morale is
keeping lifeguards is a huge problem in IB now. This summer, they only had 60% of their shifts filled.
This has taken its own toll on the staff, for sure. The mental health, if they've been sick, they don't want to get sick.
They'll still do rescues, but they're subjecting their eyes, nose, mouth, and any open wounds to contamination.
We still go in, we still make rescues, whether it's tourists, surfers, locals, or even the smuggling. Once they go in, when they get out, they got to do an exposure report, and then if they get sick, it becomes a workers' comp issue.
They can't even train in the ocean they're tasked to guard.
Normal day, clean water, lifeguards are doing training in the water where they work. Currently, we send our lifeguards to another city to train and work out. We pay for swim time at a pool.
And the future here, not so promising because they had to cancel the junior lifeguard program this year. Without that training program, it gets even tougher to recruit skilled lifeguards. It's forcing these brave men and women to take on challenges along the U.S.-Mexico border that no other lifeguards face. For Earth 8, I'm Netta Iranpour in Imperial Beach.
Yeah, I am so empathetic and grateful for what they do. It's wild. Well, Captain Lindquist says that IB lifeguards make about $18 an hour, which is less than most fast food workers. According to Indeed.com, lifeguards with the city of San Diego make about $21 an hour. Netta, thank you. Well, the San Diego County Board of Supervisors is taking action to keep military members and veterans with their families. A pilot program was unanimously approved that would remind those in the military about the federal military parole in place program. It's for active duty military and veterans and grants their spouses, parents, and children who are not from the United States temporary permission to be in the U.S. while they pursue legal status. Supervisor Joel Anderson says many in the military don't realize they even qualify for the program.
We have veterans that have family members who are not U.S. citizens, and they don't know that there's a program, the military program, and I want to make sure they're aware of it, because those who serve our country, those who put their lives on the line for our freedom, deserve the very best from us.
Yeah, the program was created back in 2007 when Army Sergeant Alex Jimenez's wife was facing deportation while he was missing in action serving in Iraq. At the time, the first parole in place was issued for his spouse, and a couple years after his body was recovered, the military parole in place program was officially established. Well, a son who uncovered his father's military service during World War II led him to learn about the discrimination and determination family of service members faced as Mexican Americans in the armed forces. CBS 8's Abby Black shares the efforts to preserve their history in the United States military.
Charles Nogales' family immigrated from Mexico. They grew up poor in the mountains of New Mexico, but he learned their service to our country is rich in history. A family of 7 brothers and nephews who lived under the same roof all signed up or drafted during World War II.
These soldiers all experienced frontline horror.
The Nogales Flores men were deployed across the world, fighting in some of the most destructive battles in and above the Atlantic to the Arctic Oceans, France and Germany to the invasion of the Philippines. Yet, because of their Mexican-American heritage, they were told no several times in the military.
The consensus was in the Army was that if you were Mexican American or Mexican, that you didn't have the intelligence or the leadership skills to be an officer.
Richard Nogales shares the stories that he's uncovered over the years. During World War II, he says his cousin Ramon Flores later became a lieutenant for the Army Air Force and flew 35 missions over Germany.
My cousin was one determined young man.
Richard Nogales shared these 2 photos of his uncle Frank Nogales.
And they literally whited out his face to make him look more white.
Nogales was assigned to an Army tank destroyer and landed in Normandy right after D-Day.
You're going to see the most horrible conditions in the world. We have to change the way you look because we don't want such dark-skinned people in our yearbooks.
But the discrimination did not defeat the Nogales and Flores family, who proudly served their country.
They fought for their country, but I think they fought as much for their new families.
Nogales says it took years after finding some of his father's medals, including a Purple Heart, to talk about World War II.
The feeling that when he walked into the aircraft, that he was walking into his coffin.
His father, Cruz Nogales, was a radio operator for the Army Air Force 493rd Bomb Group in France and Germany. He spent 3 weeks in the hospital, reunited with his crew after he was hit with a flak shell.
He could not disappoint his brothers.
On the front lines, he didn't show it, but Nogales says that he could read the pain in his father's letters.
At some point, I think he believed that he was going to die on those missions, and yet he still did it because of his brothers.
Nogales says that he's a history buff, and he thought he knew about World War II from books and movies.
History is not about D-Day and defeating the Germans in northern France.
Nogales says it was the letters, National Archives, Facebook groups, and conversations with his father and his family members where he grew a deeper pride for his Mexican-American heritage and their service in the United States military.
It's about the personal stories that not only them, but the families, and afterwards, their adjustment.
And their perseverance.
But there were some determined young men. They would not be told no.
And these brothers and nephews have more than these medals to prove their commitment to their country.
I credit that for my grandparents, that they instilled with them a certain confidence and that they were important.
Abby Black, CBS 8.
Abby, thank you. And all this week, we have been celebrating veteran-owned businesses, of course, for Veterans Day. Today, we are highlighting Bird's Eye Aerial Drones, also known as BEAD, right there in El Cajon. This veteran-owned business works to service and operate drones, providing aerial intelligence on utilities across California. They also monitor utilities to help prevent fires. The company also gives back to other vets here in San Diego.
We also have a preference for hiring veterans and their family members as a way of giving back to the community that supported us for so many years. Speaking from the Navy wife point of view, that support is so important.
Yeah, you can find BEAD at 1940 Joe Crossan Drive in El Cajon. And a big donation at a local Salvation Army is set to feed hundreds of people during the holidays. Jeffrey Olson, also known as the Vista Toy Man, donated about 650 pounds of canned goods to the Oceanside location. That food will be shared with locations all across the county.
When we're able to give out this food and give out the gifts that the Salvation Army provides, it's a joy. Some of these families come and they don't have anything, and just receiving the food, their face lights up. Sometimes they get tearful, and it's just great to be able to help out the community.
I bet. 'Tis the season to give back if you can. So if you do want to make a donation, get into the holiday spirit, you can head to salvationarmy.org. Lots of worthy organizations. Hey, and there are 3 new banners hanging up in Viejas Arena commemorating last year's historic San Diego State men's basketball season. One is for making it to the Final Four and national championship game, that's right. The others are for winning the Mountain West Conference regular season title and the conference tournament. The banners were unveiled before the team's season opener. The Aztecs beat Cal State Fullerton 83-57. Good start, fellas. I'm a proud Aztec. Well, before we go tonight, take a look. 2 bear cubs at the San Diego Humane Society's Ramona Wildlife Center can't get enough of this gigantic pumpkin. The 467-pound pumpkin was donated by an Escondido couple. The Wildlife Center says the cubs have been playing with the pumpkin for more than 24 hours straight, even sitting on it, munching it, whatever. The 2 cubs are only 5 months old and have been there since July after they were found next to their mother, who had died in the San Bernardino Mountains. The center hopes to return the pair to the wild early next year. They are sure cute. Well, as always, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for staying informed. For CBS 8, I'm Jenny Day. Take such good care.